Interviews with players and managers often follow a predictable formula, with cliches like "it was a well-fought win" and "we're gutted to lose 3 points" repeated nearly every match. But there are times when people go off script, and the results can be catastrophic for their careers. Here are 5 examples of this in action. 5. Romelu Lukaku. Now, it's clearly too soon to say this interview has ruined his career, but Romelu Lukaku's jaw-dropping sit-down with Sky Italia is what inspired this video. Having returned to his so-called boyhood club in the summer of 2021 for nearly £100 million from Inter Milan, the fairy tale of Lukaku and Chelsea was just starting again. But after 3 months and having just come back from injury, you would have thought it might have been a nightmare after some controversial comments. After not starting against Manchester United on November the 28th, Lukaku conducted an interview with Sky Italia saying, "Physically I'm fine, but I'm not happy with the situation at Chelsea. Tuchel has chosen to play with another system. I won't give up, I'll be professional. I'm not happy with the situation, but I'm a professional. I can't give up now." He went on to say, "I think everything that happened last summer was not supposed to happen like this. How I left Inter, the way I left the club, how I communicated with Inter fans, this bothers me because it was not the right time." This is just a little bit of the interview, which went into much further detail and unsurprisingly did not go down well with the Chelsea faithful, who were made to believe the Belgian was over the moon to be back at Stamford Bridge, with even his manager Thomas Tuchel confused about the situation.
But to speak out these things as a big player, as a big signing and a key player for us, who behaves on a daily basis like he is absolutely happy, that is a concern, of course, and that is very, very surprising, first of all, and we have to speak to him, he needs to speak to us.
It looks like there will be a road back for Lukaku, but let's wait and see if this story can finally have a happy ending. 4. Kevin Keegan. After a very successful playing career, Kevin Keegan was starting to find success in the managerial game too with Newcastle United. In 1996, and with just 2 games to play, the Magpies sat top of the Premier League table ahead of Manchester United following 3 straight wins and a crucial victory over Leeds. Results in their final 2 matches against Nottingham Forest and Tottenham would deliver them a famous title. But in the build-up to the Leeds fixture, Sir Alex Ferguson had stoked tensions when he cast doubt on the commitment of the likes of Leeds and Nottingham Forest to try as hard against Newcastle as they did against his Manchester United team, suggesting that Forest might even let Newcastle win. Keegan was incensed, and when the opportunity arose in his post-match interview after their win over Leeds, he could not contain his fury.
I've kept really quiet, but I'll tell you something, he went down in my estimation when he said that. We have not resorted to that, but I'll tell you, you can tell him now, be watching it, we're still fighting for this title, and he's got to go to Middlesbrough and get something, and I'll tell you, honestly, I will love it if we beat them. Love it.
Sadly for Keegan, things did not work out as he'd hoped, as his side could only manage a draw against Forest. Newcastle then drew 1-1 again in their final match of the season against Tottenham, gifting Manchester United the title. Keegan would manage Newcastle for 1 more season before handing in his resignation to the board. He'd have stints as England manager and Manchester City boss, but nothing was quite the same after that interview. 3. Glenn Hoddle. By 1999, Tottenham legend Glenn Hoddle was enjoying a stunning career in football. As a midfielder, he won a Ligue 1 title with Monaco, 2 FA Cups with Spurs, and appeared in the PFA Team of the Year 5 times, before finding success on the touchline with Swindon Town and then Chelsea. By 1996, he was the England manager, though his 3 Lions were dumped out of France 98 in the second round by Argentina, in a game best remembered for Beckham's red card. That infamous night in St Etienne would prove to be a massive turning point for Hoddle. Following a tough start to qualification for Euro 2000, the pressure was growing on the Londoner, but results wouldn't prove to be his downfall. Rather, an interview of Matt Dickinson of The Times on January 30th, 1999. When asked about his faith, Dickinson reported that Hoddle had a controversial belief that the disabled and others are being punished for sins in a former life, after suggesting it was karma that he'd been born able-bodied. His comments caused uproar, including criticism from the Prime Minister Tony Blair, though Hoddle insisted his words had been taken out of context and pointed to his numerous commitments towards charities that supported the disabled. Unwilling to resign, on February 2nd, 1999, the FA terminated his contract. While their decision was welcomed by various disability groups, others labelled the public trial of Hoddle a witch hunt and defended his freedom of speech. Hoddle later apologised for the interview, stating it was never his intention to cause hurt, while pledging to continue his charitable work. Despite only being in his early 40s, Hoddle's career on the touchline never recovered. Over the next 6 years, he took positions at Southampton, Spurs and Wolves, and in 2014 joined Harry Redknapp's backroom staff at QPR, though most of his time has been spent working on the Glenn Hoddle Academy, set up in Spain to give unsigned players a second chance at finding a club, the academy is credited for helping the likes of Sam Clucas, former Scottish international Ikechi Anya and West Bromwich forward Jordan Hoddle. 2. Peter Odemwingie. One of the most comical transfers of all time came in the dying hours of 2013 when West Bromwich Albion striker Peter Odemwingie rocked up in London to try force for a move to QPR. It was no secret that the Nigerian wanted to join Harry Redknapp's side, and just days before he had blasted the West Brom board on Twitter for rejecting a $2 million bid for his services after he'd put in a transfer request. Among other things, he accused the club of almost forcing him to retire, but things only got stranger when Odemwingie appeared outside QPR's training ground late on January the 31st, where in remarkable scenes captured by Sky Sports News, he once again reiterated his desire to leave.
Will you definitely be a QPR player as of this evening?
Well, it's not 100%, it's not sorted yet, but I hope West Brom will be happy with what they will get, and of course they're hoping to get few players themselves, so I just hope things will go well in the last few hours.
And you finally got your wish after speaking on Twitter over the weekend?
Well, you know, had to push a little bit, so sorry.
However, late on, West Brom demanded Junior Hoilett in return, which QPR refused, killing the move in its tracks. Albion chairman Jeremy Peace quickly labelled Odemwingie's TV appearance outside Loftus Road as unprofessional, while Jim White in the Sky Sports studio panned his actions too. And sadly, his career never truly recovered from that chilly winter's night. Having scored 80 times for Albion, Lille and Lokomotiv Moscow between 2004 and 2013, the next 4 years would deliver just 9 more goals during forgettable spells at Cardiff, Stoke, Bristol City and Rotherham United. And by 2017, he was playing in Indonesia. In fairness to Odemwingie, he enjoyed a respectable career which included 63 caps for Nigeria, but regardless of all his achievements, he'll always be remembered for his antics on Sky Sports News. Before we move on to our final pick, here are a few honourable mentions of interviews that almost ruined a career. First, we have Lionel Messi's bombshell interview of goal in the summer of 2020, where he stated his desire to leave Barcelona. However, then Blaugrana president Josep Bartomeu wasn't having any of it, though the legendary forward was still to depart the club 12 months later. Then there is Raheem Sterling's interview of the BBC in 2015, when the 20-year-old tried to explain why he wanted to leave Liverpool for Manchester City. Brendan Rodgers was furious, blasting the player's former agent A.D. Ward, though Sterling eventually got his British record £49 million move, and the rest is history. And finally, who can forget Harry Kane's chat with Gary Neville last summer, where he made it clear he wanted to quit Tottenham. Daniel Levy clearly wasn't interested, and after a protracted summer saga, no move to Manchester City materialised. However, none of these are nearly as explosive as our number 1 pick. 1. Roy Keane. Roy Keane isn't afraid of a fiery interview, giving plenty of them throughout his career and still does so on Sky Sports today. But there was one infamous interview back in 2005 that proved to be the final straw for the Manchester United hierarchy and ruined any relationship that was still going on between Keane and the club. Keane was into his 12th year of the Red Devils, having won 17 trophies in that time and captaining the side to the 1999 Champions League title, even though in typical Roy Keane fashion, he was suspended for the final. The 05-06 season had already started with tension during the club's pre-season training camp in Portugal, where he'd argued with Alex Ferguson over the quality of the setup at the resort. Then things got worse when during an MUTV phone-in, he admitted he would be prepared to play elsewhere after the expiration of his current contract with United at the end of the season. But it was another interview of MUTV that really rocked the boat. After a 4-1 defeat at the hands of Middlesbrough in early November, he criticised the performances of John O'Shea, Alan Smith, Kieran Richardson and Darren Fletcher and said this about club record signing Rio Ferdinand. Just because you're paid £120,000 a week and play well for 20 minutes against Tottenham, you think you're a superstar. This did not go down well with United at all, as they believed the transmission to be so damning it was subsequently pulled by the club's TV station. Speaking about what happened, Sir Alex Ferguson said this.
Throughout my career, I think I've been strong enough to deal with important issues like that. For Roy, he overstepped his mark. Absolutely overstepped his mark. And there was no other thing we could do. We did well by them. We paid up his whole contract. We gave him a testimonial in the following season, 75,000. We did everything we could to honour the fact he was a great player for us.
By November, it was agreed that Keane would leave the club by mutual consent immediately, which essentially earmarked the end of his career, as the midfielder retired from the game 6 months later, having finished the season with Celtic. Surprise, surprise, when asked about the incident, Roy Keane doesn't quite see it in the same way.
The good thing for me, we had a chance to watch it with the players before I left, and it was fine. Players, ask any of the players who watched it, but it was just a bit of propaganda, you know.
Do you feel like there was some sort of conspiracy? You say in the book that the
That
club
might be
stopped
strong.
protecting you.
No, that's a strong word, that. But they certainly were happy to paint the picture that I was some loose cannon slagging everybody off in videos and criticising the staff and the players. Absolute nonsense.
So those are 5 interviews that ruined a career. Which ones have we missed? What is your favourite one of the lot? Let us know in the comments down below. Make sure you're liked and subscribed to Football Daily with the notification bell switched on, and we'll see you next time.